Yo, better run like it's the Krewe NFC, the Roundtable where the real heads be. Talking NFL, the game we adore. From the touchdowns to the legends and so much more. That fucking guy, he's got the stats on lock. Dropping knowledge on the field, watching every block. Back and bleeding green, cheering loud and proud. In the sea of cheese, as he's standing out the crowd. I can't hear with the looks and the smarts. Breaking down the plays, and he does it with heart. In the snout, solid like the line. His takes are heavy, his vision's divine. Week by week, we break the game down. From every big play to every new clown. Offense, defense, we cover it all. From the springtime drafts to the winner's last call. Not just a podcast, it's a fan's lifeline. Connecting every moment from the vines to the side.
Someone's a little slow on the uptake. Let's blame me.
They're pretty much slow on everything.
I do apologize. I am battling COVID right now, so if I cough or I can't get to the mute button fast enough, don't hate me. Andy, who's Chicago sitting today?
I think there's actually word around the campfire that they're going to be sitting all 22 starters today. Several coaches, that kind of thing. And, if you want to talk about Chicago, let's go ahead and, get them out of the way. Just unfortunately, they just barely missed the playoffs this year, similar to last year.
15 points, bro.
Barely.
It was a squeaker, but at least we ended up on the high note, beating the crap out of the Packers, which is always a good thing because the Packers are, of course. Well, anyway, so several coaches, of course, have been in the hunt for the Bears head coaching job. I guess Thursday they actually interviewed Mike Vrabel, but if you follow some of the other sporting sites, Mike Vrabel may end up being the Patriots' next coach, so he may not necessarily be an option for the Bears. Of course, Ben Johnson, of course, is always going to be the top choice. Fairly young, he's actually been able to do quite a few things with the Detroit offense this year. You can see how they were struggling. Okay. You can see how bad they were struggling versus Minnesota the other day, and they were able to, eventually pull away. So, he's definitely on the, if not on the hot seat for being fired, maybe on the cold seat for getting hired. I don't know how that works, but, he's definitely going to be in the running. So, and really, you have several other coaches that may or may not. I don't want to say they're afterthoughts, but the Bears are putting in, I don't know how many hundreds of different people, that they want to see interviewed. Mike McCarthy, for example, with Dallas. Dallas actually negated that request because he is their coach of the future. I don't know what ownership has to say in Dallas, but I think the GM is really high on Mike McCarthy. So it's one of those things where I think Dallas, their own circle of suck is going to actually be, extended for the foreseeable future. So we'll end up seeing how that goes. And I think at this point, injuries, that's a moot point. There were several moot points for the Bears at this point. So I guess we can go to the Eagles as they beat up on the Packers, right?
But before we do that, I just want to ask you one question. How would you rate this season as a Bears fan?
That's actually kind of tricky because you have really a tale of two stories. You got like before Eberflus was fired, after he was fired. If you actually look at the performance of some of their actual starters, for example, Caleb Williams with passing over 3,500 yards, over 4,000 total yards for the year. You did have some major pluses. Again, Rome, Odunze actually had some good things. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, everybody pretty much had their pluses and their negatives. Montez Sweat, unfortunately, with his sack numbers, those were unfortunately down quite a bit. But he was actually able to do several things, disrupt plays, hurt the quarterback on occasions and things like that. If you're looking at a 1 out of 10, I would probably You're looking at maybe a 6.5 overall. If you're looking at maybe before Eberflus, and that was probably maybe a 5.5, somewhere in there. So, and yes, we still have that timeout.
The 6.5 is very I don't want to say generous, but it feels like the Bears just did too little too late.
But if you take actually each individual position and stuff like that, because think about it, you were like 4 or 5 games, you lost by a grand total of what, half point? You have everything from a Hail Mary in Washington to a blocked field goal, with the Packers. I mean, you're literally looking at 10 points, and that would have actually swung the entire season. So,
yeah, I think I read somewhere if the Bears had 15-point swing, they make the playoffs. That's insane.
That Hail Mary, forever lucky. I still think to this day it was more lucky than good. But that Hail Mary, that totally changed the season. Like y'all were on a totally different trajectory.
Yeah. That's when the confidence kind of sort of saw their way out. Out of the door, and that's pretty much when everything started kind of going a little bit more wonky. But and again, that's what ended up eventually leading to Eberflus being fired. To asking to requesting to see, I don't know, literally I think it was like 10 or 11 different names that I've seen floated around for Bears head coaching jobs. So I don't know. The offseason is going to be kind of interesting, especially with the draft, and they have a couple of one first rounder and a early second rounder. So I mean, you have some good things that are potential. Plus, the Bears picked up an offensive line from San Diego, who I think was either on the injured reserve or whichever the case was. So it's going to be an interesting offseason. But chances are we'll end up, undefeated and Super Bowl champs next year anyway. So,
oh Jesus.
Well, since you made the transition, go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
I actually had one question for Andy on this. Obviously, there's the big talk this week was Ryan Poles and his status with the team. Kevin Warren basically said he's got a year as a lifetime. So if he's truly only has a year left on his contract, how can any of these coaches feel I guess comfortable going on board with the Bears knowing they've got a lame duck GM?
That's where I find kind of interesting also. And if you remember a couple of weeks back, we talked about how one of Ben Johnson's, litmus in order to be able to take the job is very simply he wants to have a GM that he can work with for an extended period. So they would either have to sign Ryan Poles to an additional 3 to 5 years, whatever the case is, or they're going to have to find somebody that, maybe that Ben Johnson would approve of potentially. And that's where Ryan Poles is like, well, maybe I want to go with this coach because I'm going to be able to save my job, as opposed to going, with this coach who very well may cost me my job. So, that's where it kind of gets interesting. And that's where Kevin Warren's spot kind of comes in too. It is really what's his 2 cents? Not necessarily to, poop on the chain of command, but he's just the president. Who cares what he says, kind of a thing. Because the McCaskies aren't football people, and it sounds like Kevin Warren isn't necessarily a football type person. Smart guy. Mm-hmm. He, of course, can bring stadiums to your town and things like that. So, but I'm not entirely sure if Ryan Poles being for his job is necessarily the way to go, especially if you want to turn that corner for an extended period with a rookie quarterback who proves he can do some things.
All right.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, after today, you'll be able to conduct second interviews with anyone on the Washington staff.
Oh, so shots fired! Shots fired!
Cliff Kingsbury
there is
available. But,
yeah, he probably is. We'll see. They got Chico coming. Ron Rivera is coming back to Chicago, so they're good.
Ron Rivera too, yeah, that's possible. But
Andy,
think about it. You could have Ron Rivera or Mike Singletary as your head coach.
Can't do it.
Just bring back the whole 85 Bears team. Just, go ahead. We know you want to. Just bring them back.
A couple of them might be retired, and a couple of them are really retired. So we could probably get a couple guys in there.
So we've spent enough time on the Bears. Stop.
The hour's not over yet.
Mode in Dallas. The sky is done falling. It's hit the ground already. So
No, it's still falling.
Can I first just say good game, sir? Can I say good game? Because no matter what the records are, it always seems to come down to the daggone wire with you guys. Good game. That's it.
I told you were going to beat us. We were 1 in whatever at home this year. So
yeah.
You didn't win that game?
No.
Oh, you did something right.
Well, I think. Well, it's because the curtains were open, right? That's why you guys are.
Well, I go through the list of stuff that's going on.
In our favor in that game, right? They were helping us.
I mean, they're not, no, I don't. What do you want to talk? Why do you even say that name anymore?
He's there. He's entrenched as your head coach.
I know.
I want to ask how you feel about that, but the hands to the face kind of already.
You already know how I feel about it. We've talked about it on this show plenty of times. How I felt about it when it first happened too, and I wasn't happy. I do think there's been a big theory around that they were waiting because his contract is up on the 14th. That they were waiting for a certain coach to see in college if he would end up losing this weekend before they went and did anything. And that, of course, they ended up losing Saturday down in Texas. So we'll see if that theory has any merit to it at all. So that's why I don't. When they did the whole denying the Bears, I think they wanted to keep and wait till see what happened with Texas. But I mean, this offseason we got a lot of work to do.
I'm kind of jealous.
Our GM says, I mean, the thing is like, I'm just going to hit this real quick. Andy gave the Bears 6.5. I give it a big number 2 there for the Bears season. But I mean, Dallas is right there. I mean, it was bad. Especially at the end when you have it tells you how good your owner and GM is when they interview him and ask him about, Cooper Rush having to play a certain percentage of snaps the last game to get his bonus. And he's like, well, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, that's terrible.
How do you quit? But he won't. He won't quit being a GM. And then they act like, well, I didn't know about that. And then you play Trey Lance. Like when I seen it, I was like, oh, maybe they're just trying to see, if they're going to keep Trey Lance because I think his contract's up at the end of the year. So I was like, well, that's kind of smart to see if they're going to keep him at all, see what he can do. And then I come to find out that, like, in the middle of the game, I just turned the game off. I was like, I had enough of this. Had enough. I'm not watching. I can't watch when you do that.
Yeah. How bad is Trey Lance? How do you go from being a number 1 first-round draft pick to backing up Cooper Rush?
Yeah. I mean, and then when he was out there, if you're looking for a third-string quarterback, I guess he's not that bad. But, I mean, they gave up, a 4th-round pick for him, which now seems a little high.
You think?
But, I mean, we got a lot of work to do. And we ain't going to. That's the problem. They got too many big contracts going around. We'll see what we do in the draft. Rumor is that where we're going to fall at, we'll probably get Gentry or the kid from Boise State, which, I mean, we had a running back that if they would have let start the whole year instead of putting the other one in, they got let leave. He probably would have hit over 1,000 yards, release sack. Zeke, if they would have started Dow the whole season, I guarantee you it'd have been over 1,500 yards the way he was going. So there's a lot of work to do down there, and I guess fixing the curtains during game day would probably be option number 1 there, Brian. I just can't, man. I'm just done. Mike, I just looked up. I seen a memory from Facebook like 2011 for me saying to fire Jerry. So this ain't new news for me. And I know we've talked about it before. This ain't new. This has been going on for over a decade.
Yeah.
I got a question about the Dallas ownership and leadership and GM. So, do you remember that one I Love Lucy show? You know, when they went to go renew their wedding vows, and the one guy at the front desk, he was the manager of the hotel, then he was the comptroller, then he was this, and he was just putting on different hats. Does Jerry Jones walk in as the GM? Just he's like, let me go get the owner.
I don't know what you're talking about, Andy. That's a lot older. You're a lot older than me.
I'm a lot better looking too, but still,
Yeah,
just figured there's a possibility.
At least my owner somewhat knows football. Yours knows nothing. And GM.
Who knows football? You know football?
No,
Bo
knows football.
You're like Bo Jackson. Actually, you're more like Bo Diddley.
We had enough.
Oh no, Diddley.
All right, then.
On behalf of Washington, we hope Jerry stays right where he's at. Go ahead and stay there, Jerry. We approve of you, sir.
He's going to, but like I said, we got a lot of work to do, but I don't see it getting done. I think Zimmer is going to say, I know we had a couple injuries, but it's not an excuse anymore. After what Detroit's done, there's no more excuses of injuries. Like I used to say, we got a couple. Micah Parsons is down, we got a couple. But what Detroit's done, I don't think any fan should be able to use the injury as why our team stinks anymore. After what Detroit's done.
Let me ask you this, Dan. How much? And this is not a shot for Washington, Dallas, but how much does not having the Dan Quinn and the Joe Witt Jr. I mean, we've seen what they've been able to do at Washington. How much has that affected the defense, the team overall? I mean, new coach is always going to affect something, but has it been that big of an issue, or?
It was a big issue for me because I didn't want him to leave in the first place. I said this last year that I didn't want him to go, and when he went to Washington, I said, "Well, at least we got Mike Zimmer. It'll take a little while, but they'll figure it out." But of course, Parsons got hurt, and a couple other people got hurt, and our corners, and I think it's a process with Zimmer. It takes him a little while to get going, and he have a few good years, and then it'll go back to all right, fire Zimmer. But losing Quinn was a big thing, so I didn't want him to go. But I mean, I understand he wanted to be a head coach again, so there he is. So I mean, it's a big shot, but like I said, good luck with you guys because have your roster Dallas Cowboys, and we suck in the playoffs. So good luck.
We picked up your inability. We picked up y'all's inability to stop the run. That's something we've been struggling with all season. So
yeah, well, and they don't do well in the playoffs either. So good luck with that. You hope you're playing today.
Always.
If they do lose, we could just blame that we have ex-Cowboys that have nothing new how to play in the playoffs. That's what you could do. So,
look, Washington fans love the offseason. Washington fans, we're like Chicago. We love the offseason. We're getting ready. This is when we shine.
Yeah.
They're playing.
I was just going to say, I am jealous of you guys because breaking down draft and looking at college players and going through, and I love doing that. Now, that's like one of my favorite things to do. But unfortunately, we have teams that are still playing.
Yeah, so you do.
We're going to talk to the teams that are actually still playing. So, Brian, you got a game today. Unlike some other teams.
Yeah.
Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah, the Dallas and the 1985ers.
They haven't played since 1985.
All right, so Green Bay travels to the unfriendly city of Philadelphia, and this is going to be a tough get for the Packers. Looking at the injury reports, obviously we all know Christian Watson tore his ACL last week against the Bears, non-contact injury. You see that a lot. It's unfortunate. That was your take the top off the defense kind of guy, your speedster. So now you're down your big play guy. And so now the other four have to actually step up and do something. Question is, can they do it against this Philadelphia defense? This Philadelphia defense is tough, plays tough. I think I don't know about you guys. we were talking about like upset specials and stuff like that. I am not seeing a scenario in this game where the Packers come out and upset the Eagles. Help me out here.
No,
I'm
Just
right there with you. No.
See, we're all in agreement.
Well, here's the thing: Jordan Love, as long as Jordan Love does have protection, I mean, he can potentially pick the Eagles' defense apart. It's just the defensive line pressure and things like that. That's one of the better things about Philadelphia is they don't necessarily have to blitz to get pressure on the quarterback. And so if Jordan Love gets those happy feet, I think that's gonna be a major problem.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing too. Is all season, Josh Jacobs has actually been a workhorse for this team, and I have a hard time believing he's going to rush for over 100 yards today. I just don't see it against this defense. I don't, and I think if he doesn't do well, I think if you make the Packers one-dimensional, make them throw, I think Jordan Love, obviously with the season he's had this year, with the bad decisions, the interception rate went up this year. I don't see it in this game. And you're right. I mean, if he does get the happy feet, this could be a long day at the office. I agree.
You win this game by controlling the clock, controlling field position, and keeping your defense off the field. And how do you do that, Mike? How does one control the tempo of the game, keep the opposing defense on the field, and control time of possession?
No screens. No, you run the ball. Man, I'm tired of it.
The rock.
You pound that rock, man. That's the only way you're going
Got to do.
If you force Philly, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's the only way that they can keep the game close. But I don't see no. Unfortunately, I don't see an upset, and Ryan will be sitting here with us next week, where you can make fun of him. Well, we could all make fun of him.
So,
I mean, it's not the. I want to laugh because it's funny, but I mean, I just don't. I mean, unless everybody on the Eagles gets hurt. I mean, with the injuries they had last week, with Watson being out, now it's going to be see what's going to happen. I got the Eagles winning this one.
Maybe it's because I'm in division, but I feel like Lee Corso not so fast. Defense. I think if you guys can turn Jalen Hurts over, and when he runs with the ball, he runs kind of loose, and he is susceptible to throwing picks. If you can turn him over, and like you say, get your run game going, that run game with Jacobs being timely, that's gonna start to kind of neutralize that D line, because like you said, they don't need to blitz. Those Georgia boys on their D line and that front seven, they can do it all themselves. But I think if you get that running game going and you get just keep him with those high percentage passes, and you got to get a couple extra possessions, the Eagles can be beat. We showed y'all that. Let's go.
But see, and that's actually kind of the funny part, because literally by the end of today, the guest here is going to be the only team that's going to be left in the playoff.
Get out of here.
Let's go. Bears all the way next year. Let's go.
Let's go. But yeah, honestly, Brian, not that I think you have a great chance at pulling a victory out here, but I don't think it's as far shot as you think it is. I mean, you have Jalen Hurts, who's been out for 3 weeks. This is his first week back in live action, coming off a concussion. He's going to have rust. One shot, he might be back seeing shadows, and he's out of the game. Not that I'm saying that any team should be forced into playing their backup or anything like that, and you want to beat the team at their best, but you can't beat Kenny Pickett. I mean, that's a possibility. You see Kenny Pickett today, you have a great shot at winning this game.
True.
Hey, just on the wire, Patriots reached multi-year agreement with former player Mike Vrabel as their head coach.
Wow.
Ooh,
That just came across.
That was fast.
The rumor.
I think that was a foregone conclusion once they got rid of Mayo. Is kind of like, yeah, this is the guy I really want. So
if that was who they really wanted, why didn't they do it last year?
I wasn't Vrabel under contract with the Titans at that time?
He was fired,
or not the
past
Titans.
season.
Well, no, who was the special
The
advisor
Titans.
for? No, Cleveland.
Oh, he was a special advisor, but you could always hire and give him a head coaching job. That's a promotion. I mean, but anyway. So you honestly don't see any shot at you guys winning this game, Brian? You're both fairly healthy. I mean,
I don't know. The Packers are coming off 2 losses. Obviously, the loss against the Bears, I don't take a lot of stock into it just because it was kind of like, okay, we'll play the starters, and then Watson got hurt, and then that kind of just spiraled into, all right, let's take all the guys out. I don't know. It's just I worry with how good Philly's defense is to get any kind of attack on them. I do agree with the Packers. The Packers defense has played better. I worry about Saquon Barkley going off. I mean, when he goes off, it's like that's a different beast, because then now you're going to try and stop him, which opens up the floodgates in the passing game. And if Hurts is on, if he shakes that rust off pretty quick, like I said, you've got to pick your poison. But I don't know. I'm not confident.
If they're leaning on Barkley, you go out early and score. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just don't think it's as bad as you're looking at it. I might be wrong.
Do you see the Eagles? Well, I'm just saying. I mean, do you see the Eagles actually following the pattern that the Bears actually set last week with that aggressive defense? Just with that slight aggressiveness, some of the Packers actually kind of sort of buckle a little bit, and it took them a while to actually get their feet back. So I mean, you kind of see that kind of being the same.
They always say, especially with these playoff teams, find the tape of what rattled that offense, and obviously the Bears rattled the Packers last week, and the week before was Detroit, or no, it was Minnesota. That could happen, but again, like I said, we talk about how Philly's front doesn't have to rush the quarterback; they get their own pass rush on their own. But could they get aggressive? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised they do get aggressive. I mean, that's the way to Packers make Jordan Love, uncomfortable, and if that happens, it's gonna be, like I said, long day at the office.
Who's your security blanket for Jordan Love? It can't be Watson. He never plays.
No, it's usually Romeo Doubs as the guy, and now he's kind of had an up and down season. I wish he would use the tight end more, Tucker Kraft, and he just doesn't, and that's always been like when you look historically back at Favre and Rodgers, you always had that security blanket of your tight end, whether, and he doesn't use that. So it just, I don't know. He's going to have to make smart throws, smart choices. It could be a Tucker Kraft game today. It might be. If that's his way out of situations, it could be him. But again, I'm not confident. I'm not confident whatsoever.
When he did use the tight end, you guys did really well. I know that for a fact.
Right.
Throughout the years, when you did, and that's the other thing. I think if they make Jalen Hurts, the one thing I want to say, I think they make Jalen Hurts start throwing right off the bat. I think McKinney has a couple picks this game. Again, he's done really, really well this year. I think if they make Hurts, if they try to go deep like they usually do, I think he'll that'll be the big name on the defense to see if they do beat the Eagles today. It'll be Josh Jacobs and McKinney. So
yeah, y'all are third overall in turnover differential. So like that's to that point. And we know Hurts will chuck it up there. And like I said, he also holds the ball, out there very loose. So yeah, I think y'all could steal some possession. And I think that's gonna maybe it's NFC East biased, but I think Philly is they're more susceptible to taking some shots. Like they're good when they're really good, and Saquon is amazing. And I think in the last game we played, he had 100 yards in the first quarter. You know what I mean? But then Jalen Hurts got hurt, and they had to go really vanilla in their offensive play calling with Pickett. And so we were able to neutralize. I say neutralize. He still had over 160 some odd yards, but we're able to kind of neutralize Saquon. Just take him, blitz on rundowns, shut him down, and make them have to pass it over the top. And I think that's going to benefit you guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. With Saquon Barkley going off today, it's going to take time off the clock. Right? And I was trying to make this point earlier, but I don't know if it got across. You come out, you get the ball first, you score. They are then playing from behind. Right? So their whole time they're playing catch up. If they're relying on Saquon Barkley, if you're able to hold them to 3, if you're able to get a stop and flip field position, you can win this game. If they're not scoring fast and you can make this a race, you can win. If you came out first and score and you can slow the game down, you can win. It's just a matter of how your defense plays today.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
Try to make try to make you feel better, even though they're going to lose.
No.
You're a Cowboy fan. You don't know no football.
What the heck?
Andy, what are you doing up there?
Andy's giggling.
That didn't work out like I had hoped. It was a little button that says we do not care. Unfortunately, there were some sound effects after the fact.
Oh.
Jesus.
It's like you have a Fisher Price CNC and just hitting the button and
wait a minute, this is the same guy that 5 minutes ago was doing this.
Yeah.
He was trying to make sure he didn't hit his fingers. There's no mental defect there.
Anyway. Excuse me. Sean, we got a little tussle in Tampa today.
Yes, sir.
Week
yes,
one,
sir.
The Bucs kind of handled Washington and the great JD5 quite well.
Yeah.
But
he looked more like JV5 in that game.
I always tell you, he's 1-2 hits away from becoming JD3.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a man like Vita Vea coming right up the gut. That man gets a hold of someone that boy's frail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
and it was another Samoan, Haloti Naha, that took out RG3. So I'm not too eager to be running up against you guys.
To be fair, both teams are really not what they were week one.
Oh yeah, totally agree.
I mean, Jaden Daniels has probably matured faster than the number 1 overall draft pick. Fingernails. Up in Chicago.
You mean that guy?
Oh man, gold dust. But your offense has changed significantly since week one.
Absolutely.
Your defense, not so much. You don't stop the run very well. What are you, 32nd in the league against the run?
Yeah, we're pretty far up there. We're pretty far down there. I mean, yes, it is not good. It's not good.
So,
Bucky started earlier in the season with you guys, and him and Rashad White in the first game. It hasn't been great. And going back to you, yeah, that is number one thing I learned this year. When who was it? Devin Singletary of the Giants and Tracy of the Giants ran for over 100 on us. I was kind of like, yeah, we're terrible to run defense. We have not been good all year. So that's something I'm very worried about. But as we all know, the one way you stop the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is you stop their pillar. You stop their guy, Mr. Mike Evans. And when at the trade deadline, Washington must have had some foresight and knew maybe we're going to play these guys. So we had to get the one thing that could be potential kryptonite, who is back, Mr. Marshawn Lattimore. So that matchup, I'm hoping not too many pass interference penalties, but if we can get Mike Evans to get a little upset, maybe get him out of his game. That's good. But we still have a terrible time stopping the run. Bucky Irvin and we talked about this before. Bucky Irvin, Rashad White, and then even if you guys get Sean Tucker in the mix, that opens things up for Baker. And now all of a sudden, you guys can start throwing over. Our secondary, I don't trust outside of Marshawn if he can stay healthy, and then our front seven. Luvu had a little injury issue a week ago, but I think he should be fine. Wagner, both of them, I think was like second team All Pro or something like that. Like, I think they'll be. I'm not worried about them, but that D line, I am definitely worried about because you guys still got my guy, Cody Malk. God, I wanted him a couple years ago. Position flex, guy could play everywhere, but I'm very worried about how y'all's O line and how your run game goes up against our D line and that, because that opens the door for a lot of the rest of the offense, man. So I'm worried about that. But with that being said, Hale, time for us to take command, baby. Let's go.
Come on. So both teams are fairly healthy. Bucks are getting Jamel Dean back, Mike Edwards back, Antoine Winfield Jr. back. You only have your blocking tight end on the injury report that's not playing. So we're going to get best on best, right? It's going to be a clash of the Titans, so to speak, if you want to call either team Titans this year. But this game could go either way. It's a 3-point swing for Tampa at home. So basically, Vegas is saying it's going to be a push. It's going to be a very close game.
Yeah.
If the Bucs play the defense they designed against Philly, to where they shut down the ability of the quarterback to run, I think it could be a long day for Jaden Daniels. Because him having that option to scramble, to roll out of the pocket, not much unlike Baker Mayfield, that really fits his game well. Broken plays, making something out of nothing, that's really where both quarterbacks thrive. If the Bucs can force him to stay in the pocket and make decisions through the air, I think it might get ugly early. However, if Jaden Daniels can break the pocket, pick apart Jamel Dean, who's been terrible this year, go up and challenge with scary Terry McLaurin. You have Zach Ertz at your tight end position who can easily exploit the Bucs linebacker core and safeties.
Very true.
The Bucs are terrible against tight ends. So how do the Bucs win? You got it, Mike. You got it. You play a little bully ball, man. You get that big offensive line and you run that rock.
Yeah.
And that's the formula. I think that's the formula for Tampa winning this game. Unfortunately, I don't think that's a formula that Washington can employ. How do you see Washington winning this game?
Well, score early, like you said. Jaden has to get started early. One of the things that we learned in that first game was that Jaden is a second half quarterback, and we've seen that throughout the year, even as close as the Atlanta game, where you go down 17-7 to a team that needs to get to the playoffs, and he helps us battle back. The first Dallas game, where they jumped out ahead, and then we had to sit here and claw back in the game. We've seen that he can come back. The problem is in that Dallas game, I think it was 3-3 at the half. Like I said, 17-7 against Atlanta. We've started to get known for having slow starts. Now, Eckler's been out. B-Rob's been having injuries. Outside of if Ertz is out, then the only receiver we have is Terry McLaurin. I mean, De'Ami Brown, Zacchaeus, Noah Brown when he's healthy. These guys don't put fear in anybody's heart. So we have to get up early. If we do not, and we start coming in, going into the half, down 10, down, God forbid, like 20 or so, anything, I don't believe that he's going to roll over and play dead. These guys got fight in them, but we just are not built. We're built to come back, but just like in that first game, if those receivers go off for you guys, and I'm worried about McMillan, I'm worried about obviously Evans, and more, I'm worried about the running backs coming out of the backfield. You know what I mean? Bucky Irvin and Rashad White against our, linebackers against that. We got the speed to get you guys, but if we blitz and you guys leak them out and hit them, a 5-yard dump pass could turn into 25 yards in a hurry with the speed you guys have. So We got to get up on you guys early. We got to, I know y'all run defense is stout. We got to, no pun intended, but we got to go right at you guys. Somehow we have like the third most rushing yards. Like we're the third overall in the league in rushing. And I think a lot of that lately has been our leading rusher, Jaden Daniels. So to your point, if you take him out, that's the team, but it's RG3 all over again. So I'm not going back there. This is a new dawn, a new day. But we got to get up early. We got to get up early, and we got to turn over Baker.
Yeah, Baker's prone to turnovers. If he has one, he's going to have two. He's not a quarterback that usually resets well. Granted, he'll throw a pick, and then he'll come out and still sling it, but more than likely, he has one, he'll have two. The Bucs in the second half, in the last 5 games, have given up 9 total points. So you saying that Jaden Daniels and your Washington football team, Commanders, Commodores, are a second half team. I don't think that plays today. I don't think that is something you can fall back on. I might be wrong, but Todd Bowles, being as bad as he is with clock management and being as bad as he is at controlling the flow of a game, he is outstanding at in-game adjustments. Mm-hmm. His second half adjustments have been on point this year. Mm-hmm. Liam Cohen, as an offensive coordinator, has taken the second worst rushing offense in the league to have them top 5. The Bucs have over 2,500 yards rushing. That's the first time the franchise has had that, and that includes when they had Mike Allstott and worked on, or Mike Allstott and. So, excuse me, sorry. So you're looking at an offense that is versatile. They can play both run and pass. Bucs are getting back Cade Otton. You have the development of Devin Culp these last few weeks at tight end, who's been amazing, very clutch in third downs. Jalen McMillan has really filled out well and put on the weight he needed to put on to be a bully in that receiving game where he's going to go up against some of your best corners and come down with the ball. So I think you're going to – I don't know how. What's that?
I think it's going to be close. I'm hoping, but I'm thinking it's going to be a close one, regardless.
Well, this is what I think. If it's a close game, Washington can pull this out. If the Bucs can get up early, you let a team stick around, they're going to find a way to win. A good team will find a way to win. And Washington is a good football team. They have a great head coach. He's changed that whole culture.
Yeah,
I mean.
Thank you.
So anyway,
thank you, my guy.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest things, real quick, I think one of the biggest things is because I heard, is it Liam Cohen? Didn't he have an interview with Jacksonville?
He did.
And I think one of the biggest things is going to be that because as we've talked about earlier, Cliff had those, they're potentially looking his direction, or maybe he's looking out. Who's focused on this game and who's potentially has their eye looking forward? You know what I mean? I think that might be interesting for us. Maybe they're all focused on this one. But Cliff, I know he kind of wants that head coaching gig or wants to be somewhere. So
if you're Cliff Kingsbury, I don't think you go anywhere.
I don't either.
One of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. And you got him young.
No.
So
I agree.
How do you guys see this game playing out?
I'll tell you this, John. This is how you beat the Bucs. And it's been in the record forever. Throw it to your tight end. Dave Campbell deleted my number. I can't get a hold of him no more. So I don't know if you get something out there, but that's how you beat the Bucs. Over and over again. Just throw it to Ertz all game long. You got no issue.
Let's go.
That's all you got to do. Throw it to the tight end. Throw it to the tight end.
You ain't wrong.
That's all I got. Because I don't want to see the Bucs win. So
I have an interesting little tidbit on this game. Obviously, this is more of a gambling aspect than anything else. But if we want to, this is a primetime game tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Commanders were 1-1 in primetime games this season. They beat the Bengals in the shootout, but lost to the Eagles. Obviously, a good team. Mm-hmm. The Bucs 0-4 in primetime
in regular season.
Year. Right.
In the regular season.
Who's the last team they lost to in primetime? Anybody know?
What?
I believe it was them boys.
What is their record in the playoffs?
Let's go.
In primetime games?
What's that?
What's Baker Mayfield's record in the playoffs in primetime games? Undefeated.
Okay. Great.
Undefeated.
Can always get a Spurs loss today.
I'm just saying I mean, it is they always talk about trends. And the thing is obviously you can bring up the playoff record all you want, but trends always follow you through the season. And that trend there is a glaring example of, okay, we're prime time. All eyes on us. Are they going to fold? Or are they going to do it? Just listening to you guys back and forth, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I can't wait to watch this game tonight. I think it's going to be close. I think it might actually be a higher scoring game than what people think it's going to be.
I got 55.
As of right now, if I'm like, I think the game's at 50.5, the over under, I will be playing the over.
Yeah. I was on with Sean, not really on with him, but I'd sent him a vignette video or whatever of what I thought were the keys to the games and whatnot. And I honestly said it, first person to 30 is going to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's going to come down to. I really think it's going to be 50, 55, somewhere in that area. If it's close, Washington has a shot here. If it's a blowout and Tampa runs away early with it, I don't think Washington can rely on that second half comeback like they have in the past.
And if we're down late by less than a field goal and it comes down to a field goal, I don't trust us. Right now, Zane, it does enough, but he doesn't. Not great. I just don't like field goals for us right now.
I don't know if Snyder goes Quinn goes for a field goal. I don't think he has enough faith in your kicker.
Yeah, I think he has been going for it a lot more, and a lot of that's the trust with JD5, but he's been going for it on fourth down more often than not. I mean, honestly, analytics lead us in that direction at times, but I think he would rather go for it. But if it comes down to that, where we need it, because if I'm not mistaken, we've played you several times in the playoffs, and I think it was 2005. Whatever, or maybe it was 99, the year that you lost to the Rams in the championship, we had a shot to beat you guys where we had all we had to do was kick like a 40 or 50-yard kick. And it was the holder was the brother to the kicker. So it was like the Turk brothers. And perfect snap, guy just fumbled the ball. We didn't get the kickoff. You guys end up winning. And the rest is history. So I just don't like our chances when it comes to field goals and stuff like that. But we've had good days. We've had the Deion Sanders return where we beat you guys 20-17. We had the Sean Taylor spitting game where we had, but we also helped usher in your last Super Bowl championship. So it's gonna be a good game today.
So you guys got anything else you want to touch on in this game?
Dear God, no.
Well, there's one more game on the docket. We have the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Arizona to play the LA Rams. Mm-hmm. This is my upset special of the week right here. This is the game that I think LA comes out and wins this one just based on the playoff experience that that team has. And I think not that I'm saying Darnold's going to Darnold. I've given up on that. But I think that this is the most opportunistic game for an upset. With the way that LA has played offensively, they're no longer just pushing the ball to Cooper. They're no longer giving the ball to Hakuna Matata. They're actually facilitating the ball across the field. They're giving it to everybody. So there's no one that you can really focus on. There's no one that you can isolate and say, this is who we're going to take out of the game. You really got to focus on Stafford and, try to eliminate positive plays and get turnovers. And I don't think Minnesota, although their defense is outstanding, I don't think they're built for that this week. I just think it's one of those momentum games where LA is going to be playing for their city. Thoughts?
No, I think you're wrong. I think Minnesota wins.
Stop! You just like being contrary.
No, I don't. I like it. I'll tell you guys here that in a little bit. But I understand the Rams are on the roll and everything, with them moving to Arizona, I think it's going to have a big effect on LA, the Rams, more than Minnesota. That hope I don't know if the home field advantage really goes away, but now you're playing somewhere else. I just, with them having to move it so quick, I just think Minnesota. I think that helps Minnesota even a little bit more going there, because now it's like a neutral site technically, and not to make a big joke out of it, but they're going to a stadium that is sponsored by State Farm, and what's happening in LA is just ridiculous. The NFL didn't even look into that, but good job, NFL. That's just terrible. I mean, I laugh at it, but I mean, it think about it. I mean, that's I do. I think a neutral site's going to help Minnesota more than it'll help LA. So I think if the game was in LA, it would have been different, but I think Minnesota wins this out by 5 points, to be honest with you. So
who let Charles Barkley on the show? That was terrible. Anyways, no, I honestly, I've been looking at this game, and I believe the line moved down once the game was moved, because I do believe it was, I think it was like a 1 point underdog for like the Rams, because they were expecting like a record crowd at SoFi with Rams fans. Now that it's moved to Arizona, I could tell you firsthand, there are a lot of transplant Viking fans down in the Phoenix area. That stadium is going to be more pro Viking fans than there will be Rams fans. I will tell you that right now.
Did you see the cost of tickets?
No, I did not.
It was like $20 for nosebleeds.
Oh, wow.
They're doing their best to fill that stadium. But
right.
They're cheap right now to go to a playoff game.
I can't see how they wouldn't be able to fill it. I mean, think about it. People have to get out of LA anyway. You might as well go watch your team play for $20.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, the other factors now, while I get it, like that, they're going to be playing for LA, but remember, they're also thinking about, well, what about my home? What about my family? What about, is this LA team going to be completely focused to play a team that for most of the year, their defense has looked ridiculous, awesome. So
yeah, the defense.
I'm just saying, I think this game could go in either direction but my opinion, though, I think this is one of those to where the Rams, unfortunately, is just not going to have enough to overcome a Vikings team. But if I were to pick an upset, I don't know. I've been toying back and forth, but I think my upset special would actually be the game before that we just talked about.
Yeah,
go Commanders! Go Commanders!
but anyway, I just hope the games are better than the AFC games. They were atrocious. Like, it was bad football. You have the Steelers that can't stop the run. That's not Steeler football. You have LA who's just turning the ball over. Like, they had 3 interceptions thrown all year, and then had 4 in the second half.
Yeah, 4 fumbles and 4 interceptions. So he had more interceptions in the playoff game than he did all season.
Yeah, it's just terrible.
That's ridiculous.
So I asked you this, Misador, but I'll ask you guys: I'm not doubting the talent of Justin Herbert, but is it time for us to start looking at him a little closer? Like, what's going on? Because maybe it's just the playoffs. Because obviously there was the Jacksonville game where they were up 27-0, and then they gave him that. Now he can't play defense, but the offense didn't do anything. Is it Herbert, or obviously his weapons, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, are not there any longer. But I thought it was going to do far better than what he has been, as far as maybe in the bright lights.
I don't have an answer for that. The only thing I can say is, Jim Harbaugh runs a different style. That's a thing, where he came from, when Herbert was drafted, he was drafted with a coach that was more opportunistic with taking chances downfield with the quarterback. Now you got Now you've got Harbaugh and his vision, his version, and it's like, okay, we're going to play to run the ball, and I'm only going to use you when I need you. But obviously, you saw what happened. They got down, and then the next thing you know, now they got to start chucking the ball. And if you don't have the weapons or if you don't have the protection, you're going to make mistakes. And that's exactly what happened.
Yep. It's actually a good point. Is it going to be, is he a quarterback for, just on pure talent, or is it going to be on a system type of a scenario? Because Harbaugh, for example, he took a mediocre quarterback and took him all the way to the national championship. Mediocre at best.
That was a shot at Michigan, but okay. I don't know if it's so much as a quarterback issue as it is the talent around him. What weapons does he have? I mean, Ladd McConkey is phenomenal.
Yeah,
great talent. He's going to be good for years. He gives me Cooper Kupp vibes. Runs great routes, has good separation, gets open over the middle of the field, and then can explode with the ball. He's going to be good, but you still have to have that outside edge. You have to have that big man outside, like a Mike Evans, like a Keenan Allen, someone that can go up and get the ball, someone that's going to win that 50-50. Buffalo has Keon Coleman, another great 50-50 ball. They don't have that in LA. Who do they have?
Nobody. Who's their tight end?
Nobody.
Is it Everett?
Yeah.
Everett? Yeah. Nobody. Yeah.
They don't have nobody. Anyway. You guys have any other thoughts before we head out of here and watch the Bucks destroy the Washington?
You say the Bucks are losing already? Is the score already 10-0? No, I do have one thought about the Rams game. I got Minnesota in that one because I don't know if y'all know, but the Rams were slated to play us coming into the last week of the season, but then they decided because they were scared that they wanted to sit all their players and they lose to Seattle. Yeah, we didn't forget about that. So after we finish with the Bucks, if we meet up with y'all, we ready. That's all I'm saying.
Sean, I have one thing for you before we go.
Here we go.
Sale. That's what happens when you let somebody that make that video. Thanks, Brian.
So, any closing thoughts today?
Yeah, I got one. Like most people, I'm gonna bust out the VHS tapes today and relive the good old days. And I know Andy's gonna be getting out the Betamax and he'll be watching his glory day. But yeah, that's why you keep the VHS just in case, buddy. You got to bust it out just to live the old days. But,
customarily, I don't necessarily have a whole lot to say because I have a whole lot to say, but I will actually retort. First off, you need to get into the late 20th, early 21st century. YouTube, you can actually stream that very, very easily. And it's funny too because you see the actual film itself starting to be like crackly and stuff like that, like the old 20s and 30s films because it's been so long. But the Bears have been so masterful. They've actually remastered that multiple times. It's in HD, 8K, the whole thing. It's actually quite nice.
Sean, you want to tell us where we can find you?
Yo, later on today, I will be on with my guys on Washington Football Roundtable, just kind of bringing us closer into the game. Tuesday, let's talk football. Myself, Janae Struther, another Cowboys fan that I don't know, she's somber. I don't know why she's not feeling her best, but she can watch just like the rest of the Cowboys and watch us take not the division, but you know what I mean. And then Wednesday, Washington Football Weekly, where we will either be recapping a victory or we will be doing what Washington does best and looking into the offseason. So however, it's whatever way you look at it, I'm excited about it. But yeah, we'll definitely be talking, man. And I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Always enjoyed to be with you guys.
Thanks for coming on, man. Brian, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I got this.
All right. As always, I'd like to thank our families. I'd like to thank our wives and our families for allowing us to come on 1 hour every Sunday to be complete idiots, except for Stout. He does it for a living. Until next time.
Hey, guess what? We're done. And Bears suck.